Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we from Group 4 would like to present the material entitled How Can We Become Ethical Intercultural Communicators, with the presenter as follows. First, myself Rafli Maulana Ramadan, then Faiza Audiarjani, Hani Wulandani, Firda Fadila Fitri, Dita Aprida, and finally Keisha Diah Nurul Izzati. Immediately, to save time here, I will explain about intercultural communication ethics, contemporary issues. Ethics is defined as a community's views on what is good and bad in human conduct, and it leads to norm, perspective, and concrete rules that regulate action. Ethics regulates what, how to be, and helps set standards for human behavior. Page and Martin, 1996, page 36. See also Chenemay and Munshi, 2011. It helps all the community's expectation concerning right and wrong conduct. The concept becomes complex when considering the interplay between global standards and local practice, highlighting issues of justice, corporate responsibility, and value classes. Intercultural communication ethics refers to the principle and standard that guide our interaction with people from different cultures. It's about understanding and respecting the diverse perspective, value, and behavior that exists in a globalist world. When we communicate across culture, we encounter a variety of ethical considerations. This can include differing views on what constitutes right and wrong, varying standards of behavior, and distinct legal and social norms. To become ethical intercultural communicator, we must strive to first recognize each culture's unique norms. Second, empathize with different cultural perspectives. Third, ensure all cultural voices are respected. Fourth, tolerate and be open to varied beliefs. 5. Engage in dialogue for mutual understanding. And last, reflect on and understand our own biases. This principle helps us balance global and local ethical standards, fostering a space where culture can coexist and enrich each other. Okay, next we go to the next material. Global standard procedure and local justice issues. First, let's check out a summary story excerpted from Adler and Gunderson, 2008, page 2015. The story over a dramatized critical incident to illustrate the clash of global standard, procedure, and local justice administration. Ethical dilemma, case study, the British theft story. Incident. A local employee in Asia caught stealing, reported by the North American company, leading to several local legal consequences. Next, ethical conflict. Balancing global corporate standard with local justice and cultural norms. Next, there are 5 phase decision model. First, problem recognition, information search, contrasting alternatives, decision making, and last, implementation. I want to explain the explanation, global standard procedure, and local justice issues. In the context of global business operation, companies often face ethical dilemmas when their corporate standard conflict with local justice system. The British theft story from Adler and Gunderson illustrates this through an incident where a local employee in Asia is caught stealing reported by their North American company, leading to harsh local legal consequences. Okay, that's all for me. Next will be delivered by Faiza.
Next, corporate responsibility and local customary practice. Ethical issues in corporate operations in developing countries. There are 5 points. First, child labor. In many developing countries, child labor is still common due to economic necessity and lack of enforcement. Companies must decide whether to follow local norms or comply with international standards that prohibit child labor. Second, women's rights. Gender discrimination, including unequal pay and lack of opportunities for women, is common in many regions. Companies must decide whether to conform to local practices or promote gender equality. Third, human rights violations. Poor working conditions, forced labor, and suppression of workers' rights are ethical dilemmas for businesses in countries with weak human rights enforcement. Fourth, working conditions. Standards of working conditions can be very different. Companies need to consider whether to maintain high safety and health standards or conform to often lower local norms. And last is corporate responsibility versus local discriminatory policies. Companies may face local laws or customs that conflict with international ethical standards, such as discriminatory policies against certain groups. Next, the case of apartheid in South Africa. During apartheid, there were two views on how international companies should act. First, moral boycott. Some groups said that foreign companies should boycott the apartheid regime. Second, positive influence. Companies that remained in operation felt that they should use their influence to improve the conditions of the discriminated majority. The next point is corporate influence and social justice. First, global corporate pressures. Companies can promote social justice by implementing equitable practices and supporting education programs in the regions where they operate. Second, local commitment and collective action. Real change often requires the dedication and collective efforts of local individuals and groups seeking to confront and change discriminatory practices. Next, Donaldson ethical algorithm. Donaldson 1989 developed an ethical algorithm to help resolve conflicts between business practices and local moral values. He divided the conflict into two types. First, morals related to economic development. For example, a lower minimum wage in a developing country compared to a developed country. This is acceptable if the company's home country would accept the practice under similar economic conditions. Second, morals unrelated to economic development. For example, hiring based on family loyalty rather than individual merit. This is acceptable only if 1. The business cannot be run without the practice. Second, the practice does not violate international human rights. Next, cultural value, class, and communication preference. Universalism versus particularism. Another issue discussed was the clash of cultural values between universalism, or the same rules apply to all, and particularism. Decisions are based on personal relationships. The case example used was a car accident. First, universalistic. The rule of law should apply to all, regardless of who is involved. Second, particularistic. The decision is based on the relationship with the friend involved. The study results showed that managers from countries such as the United States and Switzerland tend to be more universalistic, while managers from countries such as Venezuela and Nepal tend to be more particularistic.
Next, multiple ethical position, assessing pros and cons. Over the past 15 years, intercultural scholars have sought to understand the advantages and disadvantages of the various ethical positions used to assess situation of ethic violation in different cultural regions. These three ethical positions are ethical absolutism, ethical relativism, and ethical universalism. So in this section, we will define each position and consider the benefits and limitations of each viewpoint. Okay, first, position of ethical absolutism. Ethical absolutism emphasizes the existence of a universal ethic standard of right and wrong. In this view, cultural context is of little concern. That is, the same set of standards are applied to guide human behavior all over the world. Okay, next the key point. First, uniform standard. Ethical absolutists believe that the same moral standards should be applied to all culture to evaluate good and bad behavior. Okay, next, influence of dominant culture. Usually, the dominant culture defines the criteria for ethical behavior. This often ignores any cultural or ethnic differences that exist. So, for example, in Western medical practice, doctors may consider their treatment methods as the best and apply them to all culture. This can overlook important rituals from other cultures, such as the practice of placenta burial in the Hmong culture, which has great cultural significance. And then the advantages and disadvantages are pros offer consistency in the application of moral standard across different situations. And then disadvantages. First, it imposes the perspective of the dominant culture, which may marginalize non-dominant group. Next, tend to reflect a colonial ethnocentric worldview, where dominant group impose their ethnic standard on weaker or less powerful group. So, ethical absolutism provides consistency in moral judgment, but it also has the potential to ignore and marginalize different cultural practice by enforcing dominant culture norm globally. Understanding both the advantages and disadvantages of this approach is important so that we can make wiser decisions in intercultural situations.
Ethical relativism is a theory that states that the moral rightness and wrongness of an action varies from one society to another. This means that there is not absolute and universal moral standard that binds all people at all times. And there are two main types of ethical relativism. The first is subjective. It means moral judgment depends on the individual. And the second is cultural. Moral judgment varies across cultures. And next is an advantages of ethical relativism. The first is values moral diversity. The second is build tolerance, and the third is focusing on context. And ethical relativism have weaknesses. The first is justifies wrong actions, and the second is ignore suffering. And the next about ethical universalism. Ethical universalism is a philosophical theory that states that there are universal moral standards that apply to all people in all places and at all times. These moral standards are considered an objective guide for judging human behavior on our individual background. And the main principles, the first is universality, and the second is objectivity, and the third is rationality. First is universality. It means morals apply to everyone without exception. And the second is objectivity. It means not depend on individual opinions. And the third is rationality, can be understood and justified through common sense. And ethical universalism can be used to support arguments regarding the first is support human rights as a universal moral standard and based on natural laws that can be recognized by human reason. And the last, human have an innate moral institution to distinguish right from wrong.
So the next material is about metatext contextualism position. Definition of metatext cultivates an ethical way of thinking beyond any single ideological position. The focus is on understanding the multiple levels of reason behind problematic practices. For the key points, metatext is layered analysis, macro level analysis, exo level analysis, macro level analysis, micro level analysis, chroma level analysis, and ethical decision making. For the creative solution, advocate for finding creative solution to ethical dilemmas and preventing future issues such as grassroots movement and local cultural commitments for change. Uh, for balancing cultural context and global humanism. Stresses the importance of balancing cultural context with global humanistic values, highlights freedom from conditions of human suffering, including materials, psychological, communicational, and physical issues. Next material is about becoming ethical intercultural communicators for question to consider. Uh, identif- for understanding cultural practices, identify which group perpetuates per, perpetuates a particular practice and understand the reasons. For impact assessment, evaluate if the practice causes unjustifiable suffering to any individual or group, reflect on who benefits and who suffers from the practice, both voluntary and involuntary. For reconciling cultural differences, access if you should go along with the practice or find a solution that reconciles cultural differences, visualize alternative solution that honor cultural tradition while eliminating intolerable practices. For implementation of solution, determine the levels at which you can implement the creative solution, identify your allies and enemies in this context.
So the next topic is becoming flexible intercultural communications. First, adaptability and creativity. There are 2 points. First is communicate with adaptability and creativity. As intercultural communicators, it's essential to adapt our communication styles and be creative in how we express ourselves to accommodate different cultural contexts. Second is develop principled ethics. It means establish a set of ethics to guide our behaviors, ensuring that our actions align with ethical principles across various cultural scenarios. Second is self-reflection and ethical awareness. There are 2 points. First, continuously refine values and ethics. Regularly evaluate and update our values and ethical standards to stay relevant and effective in diverse intercultural settings. Next is question intentions, actions, decisions, and context. Always be critical of our own motivations and the broader context in which our decisions are made, promoting ethical awareness. Third is effective communication. There are 3 points. First is communicate appropriately, effectively, and respectfully. It means like in diverse situations, it's crucial to tailor our communications to be respectful and effective, understanding cultural nuances. Second is take risk and try new behaviors. Be open to experimenting with new ways of communicating, even if it means stepping out of our comfort zones. So the last is experiment with different styles. It means we explore various methods of thinking, sensing, experiencing, and valuing to enhance our intercultural communication skills. Number 4, parallel thinking. Substitute events with in-group scenarios. It means apply parallel thinking by imagining how in-group members would react to situations, helping us predict and understand emotional responses and attributions across cultures. Number 5, universal values. There are 2 points. There is recognize universal values. It means like understand the uphold values such as democracy, open society, respect for human rights, and equality, which are increasingly recognized worldwide. Next point is enhance basic human qualities. It means like we emphasize that democratic values help people express their fundamental human qualities, creating a stronger and more ethical society. Number 6, inner peace and compassion. It means there are 3 points. First is responsibility for peace. Each individual is responsible for contributing to peace. Inner peace can lead to peaceful interactions with others. Next point, foster inner happiness and peace. We cultivate love and kindness towards others, which in turn helps develop our own inner happiness and peace. The last point is spread peaceful thoughts and actions globally. Promote global peace through compassion and mindful communication. Number 7, continuous improvement. There are 2 points. First is works in progress. Acknowledge that we are always learning and growing. Even experts make mistakes, and it's important to focus on continuous improvement and ethical commitment. The last point is mindful steps and ethical commitment. It means like stay mindful of each step we take and remain committed to ethical intercultural communications. Number 8, dynamic communication skills. There are 3 points. First is switch between modes. It means be able to shift between low context and high context communication styles as needed. Second point is balanced thinking styles. Integrate both individualistic and collectivistic thinking, understanding the merits of both approaches. The last points, understand self-identity and other identity issues. Be aware of the complex layers of identity in intercultural interactions and how they influence communications. Next, number 9, analytical and emotional empathy. There are 2 points. First is adapt daily. Be nimble and adaptable to changing intercultural situations on a day-to-day basis. Second point, develop empathy. Cultivate both analytical and emotional empathy to see and feel from others' cultural perspective. Number 10, ethical leadership. There are 2 points. First is foster an inclusive climate. It means work towards creating an inclusive environment at your workplace or school. The next point is inspire others. It means like lead by example and inspire others to learn about and embrace diversity issues. The last is passport guidelines for ethical communication. There are adaptive and creative, experimental, continuous self-awareness, respect identity issues, practice mindfulness, and make ethical choices. The conclusion of this paper is the paper How Can We Become Ethical Intercultural Communicators highlights the importance of understanding diverse cultural contexts and adopting a flexible approach to ethical decisions making and intercultural communication. It recommends a 5-phase ethical decision-making model to navigate complex dilemma, emphasizing the need for empathy, self-awareness, and considering broader implications. The author advocates for continuous personal and professional growth, stressing the significance of being open to learning and embracing new cultural environments. Concluding, the paper posits that becoming an ethical intercultural communicator is a lifelong journey, requiring respect for cultural identities and proactive engagement with global ethical challenges. So I think that's all from our group. Thank you very much for your attention and see you later. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.